Good, thank you. Okay, let's get into intros. So thank you for joining, guys. I think some of you already know us because I think some of you guys have joined from Instagram, whereas other people have joined from Eventbrite. So we have new people and people that, you know, have known us for a while. So yeah, let's jump into it. A little bit about us before we get into it, just so you know exactly who you're speaking to. So who are we? Together we're Parchment Properties. So my name's Tao and my mum's name's Sue, which of course you've heard from and you will hear from again in a minute. And what? So we're into land acquisition and sales and also commercial development, but specifically commercial reconfiguration, where we're based in the UK. I'm based in London and my mum is based in Birmingham. I'm not even going to bore you with the long list of whys. There's a lot of reasons why. We're on a mission together. We have goals that we need to see come through in regards to our family, also in regards to our clients, and just the impact that we want to see in the world in general. Just to put it in a short and sweet way, rather than taking up a lot of the time going on about that. Our why is very deep, but we'll leave it there for now. Okay, so for those who potentially don't have us on social media or haven't seen that video before, that is a video of us on our land in Ghana when we recently just visited in August. So yeah, that's a quick little intro. So some of the topics that we're actually going to cover today, we're going to discuss why Ghana. It's a question that I think a lot of people ask and a lot of people wonder why, especially if you're not familiar with Ghana or even just international investing. We're also going to go over who should acquire land in Ghana, because that is also even a question we asked ourselves. Is this a place that we should be investing? I mean, we're not Ghanaian. Is this a place where, we should look into? How can you make money from your land in Ghana? That's a big one, because of course, at the end of the day, most people, when you invest in, it's about money. So yeah. That's a good one. Exactly. Where are people acquiring their land in Ghana? That's quite a juicy one, actually, because of course there's so many options. So we will get into that. What land is available to acquire in Ghana, and when to actually buy land in Ghana? So just to kind of lay out a bit of the expectations of what we're actually going to go over during this session, we'll just briefly discuss what the session objectives are. So the first one we've just covered, which are the topics that we're just going to discuss and just go over briefly. The second one, we're going to be identifying where you are in your journey to acquiring land, because we don't want to just sit here and talk about ourselves and just talk about our own journey. That's not what this is about, essentially. So we have created a bit of a scale so people can just look at it and say, okay, this is where I'm at and what does this mean for me. The third thing that we're going to do is define the advantages and disadvantages of you acquiring land in Ghana. So again, that's going to be personalized rather than it just listing advantages and disadvantages. It's going to be for you to actually look at your own situation and tailor that to yourself. And then the last thing we're going to do is, for those that are actually going to be acquiring land or looking to acquire land in Ghana, it's about encouraging each other to take the steps that we want to take. So we're going to take another action towards actually acquiring land. So let's go ahead.
Okay, I think this is me, isn't it, Tam? What you're hoping to gain from the webinar. Right, for some of you who've registered through the website, left some comments in regard to this question, what are you hoping to gain from the webinar? This is an interactive webinar, may not be voiced, but in the chat box. So could you head over to the live chat and leave a comment to the question, what are you hoping to gain from this webinar? Just one or two, comments there would really be helpful for yourself, really, to look back on. Can you see that chat box, Tara, at the moment? I haven't got it up.
So let's have a look.
So we're waiting for some of those comments to come through. I'll read the first 4, Tara, and you can read 1 or 2 of the in the chat box.
Yep.
That's coming through. Right. The first one is my knowledge on Ghana. That's one of the comments that we had back. Better insight. A to Z, process of land acquisition in Ghana, legal requirements to acquire a land, education and investing in the motherland, and how you protect your assets remotely. That was some of the comments that I...
Okay. We have a few people in the chat. So we've got 2 people so far. So we've got the process taken by you at the start. I would like to learn about security around investing abroad. I'm also just going to read some out from the website because that people put on their forms. So we've got learn about different ways to acquire land in other countries and make a profit. Some people also just wanted to come in just to actually be open-minded about it. We actually had quite a few responses, so I'm just going to see if I can find another one. Learn more about it as a Ghanaian national. One thing I would say is from the responses that we got from the form, if you actually did inquire through the website, it seems like we have all different types of people. So we have Ghanaians, people that are not Ghanaian and have no idea, and then just the whole spectrum basically. But yeah, I'm not sure if anybody else is about to write in the chat, but yeah, I think we can move on. Okay, so this is the system where we're going to get you to just identify to yourself. So this can be personal, or some people are probably just open to sharing. But we want everybody to just, consider themselves on this webinar. So we want you to identify where you are on your journey to acquire land in Ghana. Some people have already gone about doing it. Okay, I've almost completed on the land. I'm here to pick up what I can for the future. Amazing. And we're really glad to see you as well, because of course, yeah, we've got to have some talks because you've also bought yours. But yeah, so the purpose of this land acquisition Ghana webinar is to support people to disregard discrepancy, because for many people, being in 2 minds is the biggest contributor to procrastination when decision making, and ourselves included. I am the most guilty person of that, Mama Motaria. So yeah, as you can see, you can identify yourself as stuck, accepting how, trying, ready to go, level 1, which you can just have a look in on the scale to see what the difference is between level 1 and level 2. So if anybody does feel comfortable, feel free to just put it in the chat. I feel like this is a judgment-free zone. I'll keep it real. In February, I was completely at stock. And to be fair, where would you say you were, Mum? Because you was a bit more open-minded than me.
I was ready from the start. That was very open-minded. Yeah. I was just looking for the right source, because I really did want to invest in Ghana. I really did.
I would say initially you was probably at number 3 then, Mum, wasn't you? Was probably at trying.
Yeah, I really
actively searching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody want to mention in the chat? Okay. Why is Ghana an attractive country to invest? Does anybody actually have any responses to this? Because some of you in here have actually already invested in Ghana, and some of you have an interest. So you may have a reason as to why you. Does anybody have an answer in regards to that? Is there a reason why any of you are interested in Ghana so far? Okay. Family. Okay. Good reason. Wish we could relate, actually. Okay. Can't see anything else coming through. Yeah. Do you want to continue then, Mom?
This slide is why is Ghana an attractive country to invest? Location, easy and accessible. Now, Ghana is said to be only 8 hours from a lot of other countries, which makes it easy accessible to fly to and from. And it didn't take 8 hours for us. It went all the way to Dubai and all the way back, but it is generally 8 hours. Then you've got the stable politics, known to be a peaceful country, so there's no civil unrest or anything like that. Infrastructure is improving. Now, this one is what we'll go in more detail a bit later, because this affected us and had a positive contribution to our land in Ghana, this particular one. Ghana is a very resourceful country. Just to list in a few here: gold, diamond, cocoa, minerals. And of course, it's a warm climate. You've got the next one. Season is the opposite to the west. Now, when it's winter in Ghana, it's summer in the UK. And the reverse. When it's winter in the UK, it's summer in Ghana, which makes it a desirable place to visit during winter months. As you may know, Ghana is a hotspot location for holidays in the summer, especially during December, when their tourism is very high. So a lot of people go to Ghana in December month. English-speaking country. I mentioned a little bit about that. The English is taught in schools, in Ghanaian schools, and is part of their curriculum. In contrast to other countries on the continent, which may teach French or other languages, which makes it a lot easier when communicating, when conducting business, or just visiting Ghana. And then you've got incentives for foreign investors. Population is increasing, skilled educated labour force. And that's just those mentioned. As you can see, I just thought we'd mention one or two, elaborate on a few. Okay, so why land in Ghana? But first, why property in Ghana? Residential. Ghana has an increasing population, currently over 34 million, a large proportion who are younger Ghanaians, not to mention a large influx of diasporas. Hotels, Airbnbs, holiday homes, and hospitality. Over 623,000 international tourists registered in Ghana in 2021. Commercial buildings. It's been reported that 75% of people in Ghana were identified as being involved in business in 2021, compared to just 13.5% in the UK. And commercial buildings are in high demand with growing businesses. Just thought we'd mention that. That's what we found when we was over there as well, didn't we, Tam?
Yeah.
Okay. So reasons to buy land in Ghana. Creativity opportunity, blank canvas for creative construction, space, it's not overcrowded or overpopulated, affordable, more affordable than property as it's undeveloped. So you're not paying for the works it takes to develop infrastructure at the point of sale. Pace and facility. You can build on your land in phases that are affordable to you. That's really attractive because you can take your time and go into phases and just do a bit. Start with your foundations, or we're going to start with our wall, for instance. Premium. When buying a completed property, a premium is attached automatically. When you buy land and adding value, if you build at the right price, the opportunity for a premium goes to yourself. And just who should acquire land in Ghana?
Okay, so this is something that we wanted to break down, just because people fall into different categories, and it is good to identify yourself, because you'll see later on in the slides, it is relevant. It shows you maybe what you can do, what you can't do, and in future webinars this will be even more relevant. But today we're just going to touch on it very lightly, but as we said, in future webinars we're going deeper with this. So if you don't mind, in the chat, can you just identify yourself, because when we had everybody registering, we realized that there was people from each one of these categories. So if you don't mind, can you just identify yourself? Are you Ghanaian? Are you second generational? Are you just an individual that's non-Ghanaian? Are you going from a business perspective, a charity, organization, or corporation? So that would just help us to identify where everyone is at. Let's see if any of those messages are going to come through. Not Ghanaian, but work here, British. Okay, that's really interesting to know. Okay, I'll give it a few more seconds before we move on. Okay, that's interesting. By the way, guys, just while we're speaking on this little section, we're going to have a quick networking session afterwards, just like a quick 15 minutes, just for anybody that wants to talk and maybe just exchange contacts, because we're clearly all interested in the same thing. So yeah, we'll have that little session towards the end. Second generation, but see myself as Ghanaian. Okay, non-Ghanaian. Okay, so as you can see, we're literally covering different people in the chat. So right, let's move on. So who should acquire land in Ghana? So we personally believe it's really important for Ghanaians and second generation Ghanaians to buy land in Ghana. It's so important for sentimental values, for generational reasons. Like, it's just, if you can do it, you should do it. And also, there's a lot of Ghanaians, especially when we went there, we realized that it's so common for them to own land. For us in England, it's not common, but of course, it is very common in Ghana. And even if they're not, doing really well in other areas of life, even financially, a lot of families own land. But sometimes the issue for the individual may be that the land that they inherit might not be suitable for what it is that they want to do. Maybe they, maybe based upon the agreement with the other people in their family, they can't venture out and do what they want to do with the land. And for some people, they just want to build a portfolio. So maybe the family piece of land that they have is not enough, or So there are just some reasons why, if you're Ghanaian or second generation Ghanaian, we think it's important that you should buy land in Ghana. So the next group is for non-Ghanaian individuals or groups, so such as ourselves. So we're British, and our background is Caribbean, so no relation to Ghana whatsoever. So another reason is for things like holiday homes and business trips. As you know, it's December, everybody is about to be flying out, like probably some people even from next month. So people go there regularly, so why not? And also, for anybody that's not aware, in 2019, Ghana had the year of return, of what they called the year of return. And it saw diasporas from all over the world, but mainly America, I would say, returning back to Ghana. And the last level is for investors, businesses, corporations, organizations, and charities. And the reason we think it's important for, if you're in that category, to invest in Ghana is, one, the currency conversion rates and the value for money. So in England, we know what's happening here, and most countries actually, but we're experiencing it in England, inflation. So money is not stretching how it used to stretch. But what we realize is that you can still stretch it in other currencies. So I do think that's really important, and I would like to talk on that at a bit more length in another webinar or just another discussion. Ghana has a lot of incentives for foreign investors, so it's always positive when a country is welcoming to your investment.
And they are welcoming, aren't they? Very
they
welcoming.
Are very, They have a skilled and educated workforce. Again, we've gone over the last four are leave, because as you can see, you can read them on the screen, and we have gone over them briefly already. Okay, so who should acquire land in Ghana? In summary, we just think everyone is suitable for everyone. Doesn't mean, of course, if you don't want to, then you don't have to, but it's suitable for everyone.
Okay, for the juicy bit, how can you make money from your land investment? Okay, so we're going to direct you all back to the live chat again. So please, could you leave a comment on some ideas or ways you think you can make money from your land in Ghana? If you've got any thoughts at the moment, be great. Just to put, we've broken down to five categories: agriculture, recreational, residential, commercial, and transportation. Just to give you an idea, but you can put down what you've got, any thoughts you've got yourself. Holiday rentals, great. Yeah, that's interesting to us.
By the way, is that something that you've done before anywhere else? Because that will be interesting to know. We've done it in the UK ourselves, so we're definitely interested in doing it in Ghana, especially with their market.
It'll be fun as well, won't it? Doing it in Ghana. A lot of different experience. We're looking forward to doing that. Gym facility. Okay.
Oh,
brilliant.
yeah.
That'll go with the boxing.
Oh yeah, we've heard. We've heard. We're looking forward to that.
I have an essay here. Okay. She's got an essay here, Jocelyn has.
Okay.
Any others? Well, just HMO. Literally a fertile land. As much as you see the vegetation, as much as opportunities here. Yeah. You can do so much. Continuing on, how can we make money from the land? Agriculture. The agriculture market in Ghana is estimated at $3.31 billion in 2023 and is expected to reach $3.77 billion in 2028. It's quite big on Ghana, isn't it, agriculture?
Why did I move here? I guess it was the weather. Or that thing, that magic.
On Oxford Street, wasn't it, that building tower?
That building, yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
funny actually. I met somebody who knows the owner of that building this week. Small world, but yeah, carry on.
Yeah. How can you make money from land? Again, recreational. There's restaurants, bars, clubs, theme parks, shopping outlets, water activities, casino, gaming centres, museums, tours, safaris, national parks, galleries, adventure parks, botanical gardens, theatres, beaches, quad biking. It's one thing we want to try. Zip lines and resorts.
Yeah, and when it says beaches, because it's like, well, how can you make money from beaches? First of all, there's so many ways to make money on a beach, but even, for example, you know, a lot of people are interested in things like essays and in light of like hotels and stuff as well. And one thing that we noticed that people that have essays along the beach or hotels along the beach, they actually have private sections of the beach. So when we say beaches, that's probably what we're referring to.
Okay, I think the next one is
Hey guys, it's Watch Properties, and we are actually staying at a building that fell under the bill, and it's a great development here in Accra.
I built it from the ground up. Whole team surrounded by winners. State properties, Beanie Seagulls, local land, but we do it regional. Just getting started. This just the preview.
Found it on Airbnb. I remember when this particular person put up that they was doing this development. I actually saw it on Instagram. It was like it was big news on Instagram. So this is Legal Bissell, which is a rapper in London. This is the building that he built, and this is where we're staying tonight.
That's the life of a city boy. Oh yeah, yeah, Dama. Oh yeah, yeah, Jello. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
We just started out, and you can see this new development opposite. Here, it's all lit up at the night.
Each layer actually has a garden layer. It's very interesting, but I'm staying here tonight.
It was a lovely place to stay, wasn't it, Tara?
Indeed.
Okay, demand for luxury properties. Ghana's luxury real estate market is taking off, fueled by rising incomes, youthful demographics, and diaspora's demand. Affordable accommodation. 6 million people out of a population of approximately 34 million are in need of affordable housing. There's a lot of people building developments, isn't there, because of that issue.
Yeah, and I think also because of the incentives from the government. So it's almost like in the UK where the government will pay. I don't know the exact situation, so let me wait to speak on that. But I know, yeah, I'll wait. But almost like how there's social housing here in the UK, there's certain things that the government will make agreements with you if that's what you're developing. So there's something similar in Ghana as well. So that's why we've listed those two for residential. But of course, there's loads of other residential schemes that you can work on. I reckon this will work in Nigeria. That's what I'd love to do in yeah, I think definitely. Definitely. With real estate in general, I feel like a lot of the rules or the principles, they're quite transferable to most places, unless there's like a specific reason as to why it wouldn't work in that location. But generally, the principles are quite transferable.
Yeah.
And also just remember that commercial doesn't have to be a building. Ghana is a place where people come for enjoyment. But you can buy land and do things on it that aren't like fixtures. They're not buildings. That you could do all sorts of entertainment things on the land. So
many options in there.
There's so many options. Yeah, we just wanted to make a point about that because, you know, I think sometimes when you think land, because there's a lot of people, it feels like land. A lot of people don't know what to do with it, but that just because, for example, maybe you don't want to go through the process of building, that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't buy land, because there's so many things you can do with it and still make money from your land. So for those that do want to build commercial, as you can see from this slide, if you can actually see the numbers and the figures, which I'll go into in a second, it's a booming industry in Ghana. So the value of commercial real estate market is projected to reach $63.81 billion in 2023. And then the value is expected to show an annual growth rate of between 8 and 10% between 2023 and 2028, resulting in the market volume of $96.73 billion by 2028. So that's quite positive if you are going to be building commercial real estate in Ghana, because you know, you can see that return and the growth rate. So in Ghana, the highway road construction is funded by public-private partnerships. So it's a bit different in the UK. So we're going to be going through and explaining this in a newsletter that we're going to be doing. So I would say subscribe to our newsletter, which I'll give the details to later. So we're going to a bit more explanation. But yeah, so they do private-public partnerships to actually construct their roads. So they leverage from public resources and they merge it with private sector resources. So basically private investors for efficient public infrastructure services. And an example of this is, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, because but Nsawam Road, which is a $346 million dual carriageway along the N6 road in Ghana, which is actually it's near our land. So just to give you an insight with this video, this is how the road looks right now. It's shaky. Look at the car. It's like this is us on that road, the $346 million road. And essentially they're changing it into a dual carriageway, and as you can see, here's some of the works actually happening. So as you can, it's a big scheme. There's a lot going on. And another thing we just wanted to mention in regards to the transportation is Uber. Of course, there's Uber in Ghana, so that's another great thing as well.
Found that out straight at the airport, didn't we? I was like,
yeah,
oh, Uber.
Yeah, convenience, please. Okay, so where are people buying their land in Ghana? There's an exhaustive list, in all honesty, but we just wanted to go with a graph where we can show you something and then just show you a contrast. Well, yeah, so if you have a look at this bar chart, you'll see that there's some highlighted in red. So I'll just read the names. So we've got Airport Residential, Northwest Ridge, East Legon, Osu, and West Airport. And as you can see, those prices are very steep. But in all honesty, those areas are highly populated. They're all near the city. They've got relatively close airport proximity, and they're close to tourist destinations. So, you know, it's quite understandable why they would be so high. Before we go ahead, we did not pay them prices for our land in Ghana. Okay, so we just wanted to show you on the map where some of those areas are. As you can see, it is a really congested area. I mean, if you can afford to invest in those areas, why not? You know that the return is going to be there. But for those who can't afford to invest in those areas, and sorry, I mean like outright, some people can afford to just, like, you know, put the deposit as well. But yeah, in regards to outright, let's take a look at where we acquired our land. So of course it is, you know, it's our address technically, so we're not going to give like the exact like location, but our land is along this red arrow here. As you can see, it's just a long road to the city.
Okay, so why did we acquire our land here? We chose to invest in a growing international community, which was really attraction to us, based in the eastern region of Ghana. A large group of diasporas from the US, UK and Ghana, to list just a few. Our community will integrate and build alongside locals already situated in the area. 2, a vast majority of the land in the area is undeveloped land that has been increasing demand for people who want to live off-grid and develop both residential and commercial units. The land is very fertile, enabling agriculture and sustainable lifestyle. It's so fertile. They say, there's a saying that they say, if you drop a seed, that's it. That's all you have to do. 3, distance from Accra is currently 1 hour and 20 minutes. However, this will be reduced by 45 minutes due to the new carriageway that Tara mentioned earlier that is currently under construction.
Yeah, that's a big win for us.
Yeah.
Why did we
Continue.
acquire our land here? So a few more reasons. So there's a lot of community projects for this area that are in the pipeline. So service accommodation units, recreational outdoor parks, places of worship, boxing gym, as we mentioned, offices, warehouses. There's learning centres, community transport, buses, which, you know, I don't want to say is rare for Ghana, but is rare for small communities because they, you know, what are they called again? What are they called? It begins with a T. They're buses.
They're everywhere. That's all I know.
Do you remember what they're called, Mum?
Trotro.
Trotro,
They're
yeah.
called- That's it. I just know they're everywhere. And people
Yeah.
hanging out of them as well.
Hanging out of there. So this community is going to have its own buses. A therapeutic healing centre, and there's going to be social and recreational outlets, just to list a few. Another reason why it was attractive for us to invest here is because of the inexpensive price we paid. For this asset, we literally paid £3,000, which was a
Say
shock.
that again, Tug. Let's go back. How much was it?
£3,000. Like,
Rewind.
I
£3,000.
was just absolutely, to be honest, I still can't get my head around it. I just can't believe it.
And that was an acre.
An acre. Yeah. I get chills when I think about it.
Yeah.
But please note, obviously, since then it has increased. So yeah, just to let you guys know. But the added attraction for us as well was the fact that we can complete our build in affordable phases. So that was a big win for us. You know, it doesn't feel forceful. It doesn't feel like too much pressure. We can just do it as we please. And the last reasons, thank you. Thank you. And the last reason is that it's off grid. We will go into that in more detail at a later phase because there's deeper reasons behind that. But off grid, so it allows more space, more freedom, and building in the city, of course, is going to be prone to more regulations and complexities, and that's something we definitely wanted to avoid.
Pricey.
Yeah. So acquiring land off grid enables you to the space to build a property portfolio. So on our acre, we was initially going to just build residential because I don't think we really understood how big an acre was. I definitely didn't. If you've seen the video of me on Instagram, I couldn't stop laughing, like out of shock.
Yeah.
My reaction was laughing because I just couldn't believe it.
How could you do that here? You know what I mean?
I was like, what? This is just delusional.
An acre for 3,000.
An acre, like it's when you're on the land and you're walking through it and you're expecting them to tell you to stop walking. And you're continuing walking and you're continuing walking. So yeah, that was big for us. We was like, wow. So yeah, back to what I was saying, you can build an actual portfolio. So we went from our initial plan, you know, we drew up drawings of, oh, this is going to be initially we was going to do, just to give you some insight, a 4-bed for my mom, and then a duplex 2-bed for myself. And then when we seen the land, we was like, we can do this plus a whole our vendor was laughing, saying you could have a whole estate on there. And we was like, literally. But yeah,
so nearly.
Yeah. So we're actually going to be going ahead and building commercial and residential now. So we've actually changed our plans since going there and understanding how much space we've got. So what land is available to acquire in Ghana? Beautiful, isn't it? It's just so beautiful.
I love this video.
It's just so beautiful. I just feel like I can smell the air looking at this video.
When you're there and you just look at those sites, and it's just so lovely.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So what land is available to acquire in Ghana? And again, we're going to go into a lot more detail about this at a later date, but this is just the introduction. So in Ghana, land acquisition is organized along 2 main lines. So we've got customary land and public land. So customary land, there's a lot of categories that fall under customary land. So we try and break down a few just to give the basic understanding. And also what will come into this is the understanding of when we asked you guys to identify where you were earlier, in regards to, are you Ghanaian? Are you doing it as an organization? Are you doing it as second generation of Ghana? That will come into this section. So that's why we asked that earlier. So customary land. So as you can see, you've got Ghanaians and second generation of Ghanaians you know, flashing here, and that's just because in a lot of the time with customary land, they are going to usually take priority, but other people fall into the category too. So customary land is owned by communities, and they have the right to use and control the land. So family land, so it's of course going to be owned by a family or a group of families, and it's usually passed into generation. And if you was to acquire this land, you would have to negotiate with the family elders. So we've associated these type of Ghanaians and second generation Ghanaians. Store land. So this is owned by traditional authorities or chiefs, and they're responsible for allocating the land to the members of the community for their use. And there's usually conditions on these lands, such as requiring that it's used for a specific purpose. Relevant to Ghanaians. And private land. So private land is the type of ownership for individuals and corporations.
Okay, state land, government or public land, otherwise known as statutory. This can be used for public uses and also specific purposes. The category for that is businesses, corporations, organisations and charities.
Yeah. And again, we'll probably go into more detail about this at a later date, but this is just to give you a brief oversight. There's no sound on this video, Mum, so you can continue if you want.
Transition of our land. Right, when we started out with our land, at first it was a store land. It was owned by chiefs, and that was obtainable by Ghanaians. Now, after negotiation, our land transferred into private land. And so now it's obtainable for non-Ghanaians and also individuals and groups. The land opportunity properties have available. So here in the Eastern region, at the time of the webinar, we have plots and acres. And a plot is 100 by 70 feet. And an acre is basically 1 acre is 4 plots. The average price, if you can zoom in there, is 1,700 for a plot. And the average price for an acre is 6,000 now, 800.
I want to tell just a quick brief story time, because of course when we got acquired our acre, Mum wanted to buy 2, and I told her she was being extra because I was like, why do we need 2? And now we wish we bought 2 because look at the increase.
And we've also had some people who have had and actually gave their gone back to having just the 1. They found it was too much to deal with as a couple. So some people, you know, you've got to.
The reason why I was quite skeptical, I'm quite skeptical with letting go of money, to be honest. It's not a good trait, but I'm just always like, oh, like, you know, I'm just a bit reserved with letting go of money. So, and this was my first time with I wasn't even thinking international ever personally. It's never even crossed my mind. So I probably wouldn't have actually done it unless Mum was interested, because we're business partners. Everything we do is together. So if Mum didn't, you know, initiate this never would have been on my mind personally. Even if I was open to other countries, I probably wouldn't have thought land. Personally, I was a bit more closed-minded.
It was just a bargain. It was just the opportunity. That's what made me make that decision.
So you know, for anyone listening, don't, you know.
And this is rising again.
Like
you know that road, mention about the road, Tara, about, you know, the road, once it's been built, the dual carriageway, those prices will go up again, like they have done.
Yeah. So again, it's something we're going to explain a bit more about in newsletters and upcoming webinars as well, because it's nice to go into a bit more detail. This one is a bit of a concise. It's our first webinar, and it's just to try and get a few things covered, get the feedback so we can hear what people want to hear more about, and then we can go into a bit more detail. But that road, because it's going to allow transport through so many different areas, as you can see, it was a $346 million. So not CDs, dollars. That's a lot of money for investors, and also the government to put that much money together. It shows their business. There's reasons why they're doing it, because another thing as well, when you're investing, a good thing to look at is private and public spending, and that road is private and public spending. But the reason why is because when you've got such big investments going on, they would have spent thousands and thousands of pounds doing due diligence about why they are doing that there. So for example, for them to be building that road there, they know that money is going to come back to them. So what does that then mean for the adjacent areas? So anybody that's in the UK, for example, I don't want to go off on a tangent about it, but just to add a bit of detail, we see that when motorways come to the UK, when dual carriageways comes, obviously HS2 was a big one as well. Look how many house prices went up when HS2 was announced. Bearing in mind, it's now been announced that it didn't even it wasn't even complete to the full extent that they were going to, but those house prices have still increased just on the fact that it was going to happen. Funny, actually, we're mentioning that I was watching a YouTube video yesterday, and Bricks with Tips was talking about, sorry, that's just someone from the UK in property industry, and he was saying about how the predicted Westfields of Croydon has increased the prices. And it's true, I was 15 when they announced that, and I'm now 25. It still hasn't happened, but the prices have still increased. I heard from some people that own property in Croydon that their prices went up by 60%. So yeah, big investments do of course increase land and property prices. So with this road being, and it's still increasing, exactly, with this road where it's positioned and it being en route to our land and it cutting down the travel time from 1 hour 20 minutes to 45 minutes, it's a big selling point. I'm going to be buying some more land as well, but next we'll be going for plots. So yeah, but we move on. I wasn't meant to go off on a tangent like that. So yeah, so why now? So the prices are increasing. That's the main reason, because the prices are increasing. Nobody wants to pay more than you need to pay. So that's, that's just the main reason, I would say.
But even though they're increasing, they're still really affordable in comparison to
very affordable, very affordable. And when you can see what's coming to the area just with, let's say, the road alone, and we will go into more detail about that, it's just, it's quite predictable about what's going to happen. So yeah, so another reason as to why now is because the options of the plots and available are reducing day by day. I wanted to get the statistic ready as to how many plots have been sold on this very large pieces of acres of land, but I'll be honest, I just don't have it. I didn't have it ready, but I can let you guys know at a later date how many acres have been sold, and you can see that they are selling out.
A lot from America as well, isn't it? A
lot from America, yeah. A lot of Americans, a lot of Canadians. So there's people from the UK. There's people from all over, to be honest. Which is lovely, because it seems like it's quite a diverse community that's being built there. But then at the same time, although you've got all these international investors, when you actually go to the area, there's a lot of locals living there, and I think that dynamic is beautiful. Because if you're going to a country, it's not like you want to isolate from the locals. So it's really nice that when you're driving through there, you still not necessarily next door neighbors, but you're still neighbors. It's not completely isolated. You're still neighbors to some locals. But of course, because walls are being built, for example, we're building a wall around our acre. Our neighbors are international investors, but the neighboring lands have locals, which is lovely. So also, while the community in this region is still building itself, you can use it as an opportunity to decide how you can contribute to the community, and obviously that can help you decide, well, how can I make money here? How can I profit from this? So for us, because our background is service accommodation, which is for those it's like Airbnb. That's why we decided, when we realized how much space, that's why our go-to was to then go on to commercial, and then we're going to do Airbnb there. Was there something in the chat?
Yeah, Jocelyn just put something in. If you could just read that to her.
They generally tend to buy bigger rather than lots. Who is that? Sorry.
Jocelyn.
No, as in who tends to buy bigger?
Sorry, the Americans and Canadians.
Yes.
Do you know what? They've got so much more disposable income than us, and they're not scared.
And the Ghanaians love Americans, don't they? They love Americans because they're never going to spend.
I can see why. Big spenders.
They love that.
Big spenders.
Really attracted to Ghana, aren't they? There's a big community over there.
I mean, to be honest, when we went there, I mean, at some point we'll be putting up a vlog. Sorry, I'm very slow with that. We will put up a vlog so you guys can see our experience and how our interaction was. I had no idea a lot of our time would be spent with Americans. I had no idea. We were spent with, it was like we went to America. We spent so much time with Americans there.
They like to party as well.
Yeah, they love it.
Mm.
So, and another reason as to why now is because it's not everybody you can buy land from abroad. I'm sure we all know this. It's not everybody.
Yeah.
So this vendor has taken on the burden of taking on the complex negotiations it takes. So as we said, it was previously store land, it's now private land. It didn't become private land because of our acquisition. It became private land because of our vendor's acquisition. So when you've got somebody that's taken on sort of complex negotiations, for us that's a win, because yeah, that's a big win. Makes it a lot more simple. For a lot of people, when they're selling land, they're going with a hard sale. We're not going to do that. You will not find us doing that.
People know what they want, don't they? You know,
people know what they want. Yeah, for sure. So, and for me, that's just never effective at all, and it just doesn't really make sense. People are ready when they're ready, but we do want to just emphasize on why urgency is beneficial for you. So yeah, so we're all adults here, so we're, like I said, we're not going to go into any hard sales, but if you are looking for a few words of encouragement as to maybe why sooner than later, then let's say, so if it is something you want to do, why are you waiting when you know the price is increasing? So as soon as to be honest, I realized the price was increasing afterwards, but it made me really want to be on my game even more. And then I was like, Mom, we need to get another one. And I was the one being stingy at first. But when I realized the price was increasing, it almost gave me a mindset of, oh no, like I don't want to miss out. So yeah.
And the reason is becoming more in demand in that area, isn't it? Slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly, more demand.
Exactly. And how we even just spoke about how the Americans are, where they just buy up big lots. It's true. And a lot of people are doing that. A lot of people are even with this with our vendor buying a whole heap.
He's bought a lot of stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah. So you're feeling unconfident about the process and procedures, there's people in place to handle those things on your behalf. All the important information will be communicated with you. So what we're doing and have been doing over the past few weeks, past few months, is putting together a team to support our clients with their needs. So if that's something you feel like you can benefit from and you feel like you do need a bit of support, then just book a consultation. We can talk through some things, and that whole power team that we are in the process of setting up and have started setting up, yeah, that will be yours. If your finances are getting in the way of pursuing the land investment, book a consultation anyway, because we can do payment plans. That helps. I'm sure you'll see in a slide or two, we started with £500, continued paying, but the deposit was £500. £500 to own land.
You're breaking a bit. You're breaking up.
I said we put down £500 for our deposit, and I'm literally paying that, more than that actually, for my hair next month. So for you to be able to put a deposit down of £500 to own land, and I'm sure we all spend £500 on silly things, and then aside from that, there's going to be people that don't have £500 because that's the climate that we're in right now. Let's be real. There's a lot of people in those sort of conditions as well, but I would say don't let that stop you. Just have the conversation, see what we can do. A vendor, we've had a really good conversation about people in those positions, and we've just come to the conclusion that it's not always about selling land fast or even just selling the land. It's just about everybody encouraging each other to thrive. And he is also of that mindset, which is amazing, because he's also open to helping people in different ways. So I just wanted to say as well, if you're unsure about acquiring any land, so are we. So I've mentioned it a few times during this webinar, and as you know, in a minute you can probably let's go now. Do you want to say what was it? What was the reason as to? Because we know the reason, we did already, that you felt like you had like Holy Spirit reasoning as to why you wanted to go ahead with it. But do you want to say a little something why you wanted to do this?
I think it was the pandemic that done it for me. the pandemic period. I just was looking for somewhere else that obviously we're going to be here, but somewhere else to branch out to, you know, a better standard of life, living. And if anything going, you know, I was looking around, but I was worried about the trust element because I've heard so many horror stories. So that really worried me. So I was just kind of like watching, observing. And when I spoke to this vendor, when I was watching this vendor, and I kept watching his videos and knowing more about it, going on his groups and hearing more and more about it, and watching how and observing how other people was relating to what they were saying to him, the trust grew, and they were asking all the questions that I was worried about. And it just the relationship grew, and I just knew it was the right decision. So I know Tao is very, very she's very stingy. And I thought, well, I've got to make this decision on my own, to tell you the truth. And I did get quite of a telling off. She said, you know, we're working together. You shouldn't be making that decision by yourself. But I knew it was the right decision. So sometimes when it's a real right decision, I will make that decision if someone's going to be saying no. I just wanted to put an investment there, start it off, and then we talk later. That's what I did. And then Tao wasn't too pleased about that. But after when she got, no, she wasn't. The only reason is because we do things together. That's the only reason why she wasn't. She was quite shocked that I made that decision without consulting her. But the reason is,
to be honest, it stood out to me. It made me understand that, you know, I thought, okay, for you to be saying this, let me look into it.
Yeah.
We had a question in the chat saying, who is your vendor? Would you mind sharing? So the way it works, basically, it will be through us. So if you're buying the land through us, you will get introduced to the vendor and all the benefits on that. But we have a few extras that we're adding in because, as I said, we're building a team as well. So that vendor is a big part of the team, but we're also putting other few things in place as well, so that people have that support when they are acquiring their land. So you've got all the support we had and a little bit of extra support as well to tie up a few ends as well. So yeah,
it's important when you're making a big decision like that.
Yeah, definitely. Just to, you know, get it right. Yeah, so this screenshot that you can see on the screen, probably thinking, what is that? So on the 13th of February 2023, I was actually in Chamonix, which is in like it's like South France? I think it's south of France. It's like we went to Switzerland and then France, it's in the mountains. And I was looking, and this is the post on Instagram if anybody wants to scroll down and find it. I was saying invest in Chamonix. And I was just thinking about international investment. And as you can see, it says, although there's no time frame on taking the leap and introducing international properties to your portfolio, our preference is to perfect our skills here first, build more confidence and capital, and then venture out on more interesting projects. So in other words, I was feeling extremely unconfident. So that was me saying, I feel unconfident about this, but my eyes are on it. I'm thinking about it. And
so on that list, on that list, where was you? 1 to 5?
Oh, on that list, I was lower than 1. I was lower than 1. I was beyond stuck because my mind wasn't even open to it. And within 10 days, the deposit was sent.
Yeah.
So that's
we didn't realize at the time. When we look back on it, it was within 10 days.
We didn't know actually at the time. It's just that when we look back, we was just like, wow, look how quickly decisions can be made when you feel like it's the right decision. So we just wanted to show that because we know a lot of other people would feel that similar way of, you know, not feeling like the knowledge, not feeling, because that's how I felt. So this is just a little resource that may be helpful to people. So this is just to help people define advantages and disadvantages for you. So as we said, this is not something we're going to give you reasons for or give you a long list for, but take a look at each question and just answer them for yourself. It's almost like a mind map of getting your thoughts out. Like there's a reason why you're in this webinar. There's a reason why you've been watching this video. There's clearly some sort of thought process. So it's always good to map out your thoughts. So even though the questions sound the same, they are actually different when you really do think about each question. Yeah. So do you want to read them on, or shall I?
You can read them down.
Yeah.
I've got the next one.
Okay. So the advantages of acquiring land in Ghana for yourself. So make it personal. What are the disadvantages of acquiring land in Ghana? What are the advantages of not acquiring the land in Ghana? Sounds similar, but it's a different question. And what are the disadvantages of you not acquiring your land in Ghana? Now, there are some small little examples, but I've just noticed we've gone over time, so I'm not going to read them out in the chat. So you can take maybe use the examples to help you figure out what you're going to write. In regards to your land acquisition, if that is something that you're interested in, or if you're at that, if you're at that green stage of the chart of, feeling like you're ready, just so you can understand, I guess, the situation that we're presenting. So we're actually going to be providing an advisory team. So that will come with all the expertise, all the experience, and all the reputation you need. As someone asked about the vendor, so it's going to be a whole collaboration of different people that we're going to put you through to, and come with some discounted services on their behalfs, on the things that we've negotiated. And yeah, it would just be a full experienced team for you to just feel comfortable as you're going through that process. With us, our terms and conditions are money back guaranteed. So if you're going to place a deposit down, even though what we're used to in the property industry is always 14 days maximum as the cooling off period, but with this, we're happy to do 45 days. Like usually if you've worked with us before, it's always 14 days. And the reason that we wanted to do 45 days with this is because we just want people to be sure, but at the same time still be able to kind of lock in their price. Because as we said, it's going up. We don't know what the next price is going to be, but we don't want people to miss out on that. So that actually practically means is that, for example, if you place your deposit down and then got 45 days deposit down, we want to go ahead with it.
Just you're breaking up a bit.
Oh, okay. So it means that you've got 45 days from deposit to decide whether or not you still want to go through with it. So you lock in your price, but you can still get a refund within 45 days if for whatever reason you're unsure. Included in the land fees is a land surveyor, a site plan with barcode, indenture, and admin fees. And I am going to go quite quickly just because of the time. Like we mentioned previously, there are installment plans for people that don't want to go the upfront payment, 3-month plan, and for extenuating circumstances, we can try and see if we can negotiate with the vendor to do a 6-month plan as well. But that is only going to be available for plots and not acres if you're in that extenuating circumstances category. And then if you are wondering what the minimum deposits are to reserve, for a plot it will be 500, and for an acre it will be £1,000. We're working in pounds because we're from the UK. Just to give you guys a refresher on the price, so the plots are 1,700 and the acres are 6,800.
Oh, someone's having a session at 9 times, so they're gonna have to go.
Oh, okay, amazing. Thank you for joining.
Okay, we've got session objectives here. At the beginning of the webinar, we looked at some session objectives, and before we close this evening, let's revisit them to confirm whether we covered the 4 objectives here. So the first one is briefly discuss some of the basic concepts surrounding land acquisition in Ghana, such as why acquire, who should, how to make money, popular ideas to acquire land, types of land in Ghana, and when to buy. We've got a question to all of you. Would you agree that during this webinar, you have identified where you personally are on your journey of acquiring land? That was the question.
Yeah. Let us know.
If you remember, sorry, do you want to say something, Tara?
I was just saying, let us know.
Oh, yeah, I was like that. Okay, now if you remember correctly, early in the webinar, we shared a resource to help you identify where you are on the journey. It'd be really good to go back to that resource in your own free time, just so that you know that this webinar, you can find out if it's changed anything. Hang on, what's this? Yes, this has been very insightful. Thank you, Unique.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a really good idea to go back to that resource in your own free time and see if this webinar has changed where you are on the scale of 1 to 5. So 1 being stuck and 5 being ready to go. So basically, it's just to identify, just for yourself, really, to see if it's changed anything in the way you feel about acquiring land, just to assess yourselves. What was you going to say? Love that.
Justine says, I'm definitely unstuck.
She's on the end of a seat like we was. Yeah, because it's just about trust then, isn't it? You've made a decision already. All you want is the right source, because you hear so many people, you know, dishonest. You need the
Yeah.
right source.
And we're
And that's-
definitely going to get into that more as well. So we're
Yeah.
going to that in detail. But it's just that we're going to bring some people on to collab with us to go into more detail about it. There's all sorts of
Not
stories.
going to be us talking, by the way. We're going to call people in just to, you know, talk about
Yeah.
their expertise.
Yeah.
We're just starting off.
How can we follow up with you guys? Yes. So yeah, do you know what? Since you've asked the question, we're just speak right here. Now you've identified where you are. There's different ways you can go about it because, for example, if you're in the stock stage, I would say even if actively searching for deals or actively looking into these things or even actively trying to get the education, one thing I would say is at least register for the newsletters because you're going to be getting fortnightly news about Ghana. So even if your mind's off it and you're not actually thinking about it, you're going to be getting that fortnightly newsletter that's going to be giving you some form of reminder. We're also going to be creating a membership group. So on our website, we have a membership group where you can actually just reserve free email. So it's not open and up and active at the moment because we're still deciding the way we want to navigate it. What value do we want to bring to the group? Because we want it to be a collaborative group that everybody can just feel comfortable in, and we can all grow together because we're still quite relatively new to our journey too. So it would just be nice to have a collaborative group. So that would be
really helpful because that helped us in our decision, having other people.
We're also in membership groups as well. That's been seriously helpful to us. When we went to Ghana, technically we went not knowing anyone, and we had such an amazing time there. Like our network there was just crazy when we went there, and that's all from like groups and everything like that. So yeah.
You don't want to feel alone in that, do you? Especially if you haven't got family over there. You want to know there's some people that you know who's going on the same journey and interested in the same, you know, got the same common interests.
Yeah. Definitely. We also have a consultation for anybody that wants to discuss their personal situation or personal just going ahead and doing it. Is there anything else? Social media, we'll always be posting on social media. We're always on Instagram, so Parchment Properties are always on Instagram, so I can follow up with you guys. Yeah, and also we follow up quickly. We follow up quickly at the end as well. We just talk. So I feel more ready. I would like to be hands-on with projects. I would love to be able to be in the country. That's my main issue. I know. But to be honest, at least if you've got land there, you've got an excuse tax-wise as well. You've got an excuse to be there for long periods of time. Yeah, and to be fair, Unique, bearing in mind, you don't have to do everything in one go. So even that, keep that in mind. You can do things in phases, but also something I struggle with is delegation. I always want to do it myself as well, but you can delegate certain tasks. So I guess it's about like having that team that you trust and that you can see they're doing the works, and then maybe for certain periods of time go over there for certain periods, but probably let them do certain works while you're not there if you've got the team in place. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're not going to be there all the time. We've got the team in place to be able to do it. And while we was there, we was looking at the buildings that they'd worked on. We looked at their buildings, etc. And their credibility as well in regards to actually building requirements. So that was a big thing as well. Yeah, so back to the objectives, that you've been able to kind of look at some of the advantages, disadvantages, and just assess, your own personal circumstances. And yeah, in regards to taking another action forward, just get connected with us, get connected with others. That's why we're going to create the membership group, because we just think it's important. So get connected. That's what you can do to take an action forward. And for anybody that is ready, like we said, the situation there for you to jump into that relatively fastly. So yeah, let us know if that's something
leave a deposit, because that just, it's like a little seed, isn't it? You put a seed there. When you feel ready, that is, you don't, and not until you feel ready, but when you feel ready, all you need to do is know that you're putting that seed and it's safe. It's not going to be, because nobody.
And then also, like we said earlier, you've got the 45 days calling off period. Would not do that for UK deals, only for Ghana, just because we know it's a bit, some people are rocky on it. It's just to give people that extra time, just to be like, okay, is this what I want to do, but still secure their price.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to, you can book a consultation, feel free. You can just do it via our website. Oh, also, I'm gonna get you a link, bear with me a second. Please do fill out this survey for us. So we have gone over time, so I'm really sorry
too harsh. Don't be too harsh.
No, but at the
It's
same
our
time,
first one.
give us
No,
what we need.
Tara likes
us,
it.
Yeah, tell us what we need to know, because we need to get better, we need to improve. But yeah, we'd definitely appreciate any feedback. We'd really appreciate that. I will also just put some other links. I guess we speak more at length on another occasion, but feel free, if you do want to turn your mics on, guys. We was going to create a separate room for networking, a video, you might, whatever. We're staying for a few minutes, just if anyone wants to just introduce themselves. It will be good to network with anybody that's on here and follow each other on Instagram, because then we can all keep up with each other. And definitely head over to our website as well to register for the membership group, because then we can be like a tight-knit little community, which I think will be good.